Oh my goodness, it's a Sunday morning for me, Sunday afternoon in Europe. Afternoon. Europe, it's Alesia. Michelle, I'm so excited because I am here with some of my favorite folks from different pockets of the Eurovision fan community. Yeah, fan community, I think sounds official enough. That's what it is. And so without further ado, I will let folks introduce themselves, kicking it off with you, Lou, first.
Hello, everyone. Alicia, thank you for having me back on the Ladies' Choice once again. I love having all the ladies together. My name's Lou. I'm from Dublin in Ireland, six-time host city. Just have to throw that in there. Very important. And you may know me from Eurovision Hub in times gone by. And more recently, I've been doing a lot of work with my dear friend Connor over at the Eurovision podcast, a podcast with a unique Irish perspective on the Eurovision Song Contest. So check us out over there if you're interested.
All right, Brenda, I think you're up next if you're not frozen.
Okay, so I guess it's me then. I'm Viv. Normally you can find me over at ESC Extra, so pop over there and see what we're up to. This is my second time this year. We've been doing this for a few years now, and I love doing these things. As last time, I have to admit that I've only listened to the songs once today, just to prepare for this stream. Don't expect I don't know, too deep analysis from me this time.
Well, it's all fine. And I think, well, Brenda was back and now she's away. So if we can get Brenda back, we will bring her in. And today is exciting because we are talking about semi-final two. And so I'm just going to say controversial opinion. I know that semi-final one is our semi-final of death. But I have always approached semifinal two as the semifinal that I kind of feel like might be the more entertaining show, might be more fun to actually watch. So let me throw that up here again just so folks can get a good look at this. I mean, we've got like some interesting countries that I always say have a really strong point of view. Just looking at, sort of the countries that we have in the second semifinal in general. What are your overall feelings about semifinal two?
I think semifinal two is the better semifinal for me personally. As I said, I've only listened to the songs once, and on the first run through here, there were a lot more songs from tonight's or from the second semi that I was like, oh, I can't wait to listen to this again. From the songs from semi one, it was like three maybe. So I personally, I think semi two is the better semi.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Lou, how are you feeling about semi-final two?
It's interesting, isn't it? Because for me, semi-final one personally, I would feel that there's a stronger song quality. I'm more looking forward to seeing the songs in semi-final one, but I can't wait for the results of semi-final two because it is just so much more up in the air. And I think one of your viewers just pointed it out there. I think we could have a lot of chaos with the qualifiers, which is a lot of fun, really, for us as viewers, And over on our podcast, we're actually running like a prediction kind of contest. So we're seeing all of the responses coming in from our listeners. And with semi-final one, there's like 8 to 9 countries that like everybody seems to agree is qualifying. And then the 10th spot looks kind of open. Whereas semi-final two is just so chaotic in the responses we're seeing. There isn't really any clear non-qualified. There's maybe like two that you could confidently say will non-qualify, but after that, it's really, really open. And there's a couple of like ballads and stuff here in semi-final two, which I think could squeak through in a televote and do better than we think in the grand final when you add the jury into the mix then. So yeah, it's exciting. I'm really looking forward to discussing this one.
Louise, insightful as always, and we have Brenda, I think, back. Please introduce yourself to folks, where you write, and also where are you calling from?
Well, hi everyone, Brenda here. Always traveling to go to Eurovision. I've been following the event like for 20 years now, and well, I've been already in two of the grand finals, 2013 and last year. That is where I met Alesia, and well, basically just following everything and trying to just come up with analysis and having fun with the family.
Yes, I love it. Okay, so I'm going to pull up, our running order again. So we've got Denmark opening the show, Australia closing. How do you feel about our opener and our closer?
I think in terms of the opening with Denmark, right? I'm happy with that. It's bright, it's colorful, it's fun. There's a really strange run of songs after Denmark, but I think it just with the group of songs we have in the first half, it would have been strange anyway. In terms of closing out, I think Australia is going to go out with a bang. And I think it helps them massively in terms of qualification. I think they have a very strong chance anyway, based on the song and based on the fact that I feel there's an audience there for a song like Australia's. But I think last in the running order ensures that they won't be forgotten when people pick up the phone.
Uh, I think, as we talked about last time, I think it's a good wrap. Like the Denmark to start and Australia to close is like it wraps the whole semifinal up nicely, because there are quite a few ballads in the semi, and uh, especially opening with a ballad would be very awkward, even on a Thursday night. But yeah, I think actually I have to agree with the strange running order after Denmark. But I mean, it would have been like that anyway because that's how it goes when you have the halves. It would be difficult to do anything different or very different. But yeah, I think they did fairly well with what they had to work with.
And Brenda, not even just about the opening and closer. What are your thoughts on Denmark? What are your thoughts on Australia?
Well, first of all, what I think is that Denmark, I think it's gonna perform so well in like that demographic, like around like 19, 20 years old. Like that's the people this song is all about. I think that this guy is gonna do so well when it comes to TikTok. And we know since last year it's something that Eurovision is moving forward to as well. So I think it's like one of the reasons that we have this opening, it's because of that. We want to catch that really young demographic from the beginning.
All right, so looking back here, the way that we did this last time, we sort of began to formulate what we felt like was a lock for qualifying from the second semifinal. So I'm going to start us off, and we'll get our discussion kind of going. And I might start this sort of in a different order, but I am feeling like we can all confidently maybe agree that Australia and Austria are definitely qualifying. What do y'all think?
I guess. I'm not sure I'm very happy about it, but yeah, yeah, I think we can say that.
I'm living in a world where I'm not sure about Australia, but I'm 100% sure about Austria.
I like it. I like it. Okay, Lou, how are you feeling? Austria and Australia. Do you feel like they're both a lock?
Yeah, I would be pretty confident. I think Austria, and we may talk about this later, but I think Austria is one we could consider to win the entire semi-final, basing it off televote appeal. Kind of, I've been watching closely, the pre-party footage, and we had a big preview party here in Ireland on Friday night, and there was a couple of hundred fans there, and Australia really went off in the room. I know we're not necessarily like Ireland isn't voting in semi-final two, but I just think there's such televoter appeal there. Obviously, a lot of it is hanging off how it's presented on the stage. That's where a little bit of the mystery lies. But based on the song and the catchy, unique element of it, I think it's really going to stand out. Australia, I just think it's not really my cup of tea as a genre, but I think there's a lot of people who love this, and there is an audience out there for a song like Australia's, and they're going to back it. And also, I think it's worth noting as well, semi-final two has a lot of that battle of the bands thing going on that we have in Eurovision this year. And I think when you consider San Marino Slovenia is on kind of early enough that I don't think that hurts Australia, and I think the songs are different enough that they're not hugely comparable. I think San Marino's a little bit closer to Australia's vein, but I think Australia is going to win out there with that kind of audience, with that appeal. A lot of people have been talking about, could San Marino have like the dad vote, and like it could a little bit, but I personally see that more going towards Australia.
Great insight. So I'm going to put Australia down as a lock. And we mentioned, and I'll hold on Austria, and maybe we'll come back so we can talk a little bit more about Austria. But you mentioned the Battle of the Bands. And there's another country that I'm going to go ahead and say I'm in the camp that this is a lock. I've been in the camp that this was a lock for a while, and we've had the song for a while. And it's Slovenia. I feel like Slovenia is a lock. What do y'all think?
That's the reason why I don't think Australia is completely locked. Because first of all, you've mentioned it. Like, I don't know what happened this year, but we have so many bands, and I still feel Slovenia has better chances when we see like all these bands and what quality is bringing us and how happy this song's making us, because that's one of the things this song has. I think they are a little bit slightly ahead from Australia, and I see them a little bit more locked. It's just my opinion, not exactly what might happen there, but I don't know what you guys think.
You weren't here when I introduced myself, and I told everyone that I've only listened to the songs once, and that was earlier today. So I haven't sort of compared them the way all of you have. To me, all these songs are new, and I have to say that I prefer Slovenia. I think that was one of the songs that really sort of grabbed me when I listened to it. So the comparison there, I prefer Slovenia. But then again, everything I back always flops. So maybe I shouldn't say these things.
I personally prefer Slovenia too. And I mentioned earlier, like, and again, I could be kind of spoiling my thoughts for a further conversation, but I think Slovenia is up against Austria up there with the very strong televote coming its way. When you think of the Måneskin audience out there, like Slovenia is right up their street. Like I see it on Twitter. The fans who I know loved Måneskin and are going to their concerts, they're all back in Slovenia. And you really can't underestimate the power of like a fangirl vote, you know? And when you watch Slovenia's their presentation on YouTube, the recording they had with the audience, that's powerful. Like people, like the crowd were hopping in that room. And I think Liverpool is going to give them a very, very similar reception. And those guys just could work the camera, like the eye contact and the charm that they have. Like they're getting votes from everybody, from the mothers, the fathers, the sons, the daughters, like everybody, no matter what background you have. I think there's kind of something for everyone with Slovenia. They whatever star quality it is they have, it's going to shine through, and we know they can do a great job live as well. So I really don't doubt them being a lock, to be honest.
Okay, so we've said that Slovenia is a lock. We're also talking about, potential fan favorites. We've got 100% televoting semi. Okay, now we got to talk about Austria, because in my mind, before we had Austria, I was pretty confident. I was like, Slovenia is going to win the semi. That was just the world that I was living, televote wise. And then we got Austria. So how are y'all feeling about Austria this year?
Well, I've read a lot about it, and all my friends have been talking about it. And as I said, today it was the first time listening to it. And I'm not entirely sure I get this. Perhaps it'll change when I see it live, because I understand they're really good live. Like together, the way they work together is really, really good. But based on one listen, I'm not convinced. Sorry.
Brenda, what do you think?
I mean, it's a party song. Like that's the song that actually will make everyone like like dance and stand up of the shirt if they're watching the live show there. Like I think that's the fact here, and it stands out because we had so many bands. We had like some ballads there, and then we have this. So that's why people has it like really really high, which is a really nice. I think that it's also like it has to be complemented by a really good staging. Like the song itself won't do that much, but everyone is enjoying because of the rhythm. It's catchy and it's fun and it has this choreography and everything. And they are looking really good live so far, what we've seen on the shows.
And I mean, I really, really see what you're saying about it stands out. When I listen through all the songs, it's like it's the only one of its kind in Semi 2. So I'm quite convinced it's going to qualify and potential opener in the final to just sort of grab everyone's attention. I don't know.
I think a lot of people are saying it, and I completely agree that the staging is going to make or break this, because the music video is so clever. The concept of the song, we've never had anything like it in Eurovision before. It really breaks the fourth wall of like this discussion about the industry and the place of women in the industry. And this is like so relevant considering we're all women here on the panel, and we know, obviously it's been mentioned that their live vocals are very, very good and they've been impressing everyone. So obviously we're just hoping, well, I'm hoping as a fan of the song that they can translate the message of the music video to the stage because it's so clever what they're doing. I wonder, is there going to be a costume change here? Because they have the whole kind of like the disguise in the music video of the suits and the slick back hair and trying to make themselves appear a bit more masculine, we'll say. And I wonder, and then it breaks into a later scene in the music video where they have dresses and they're dancing with other women. So I wonder, is there going to be something like that? I think Austria can stage pretty well. So I have everything crossed. I really do.
Well, I feel like we've got our solid three places, so we've got 7 places to fill. And so what the ladies' choice panel is saying is that Australia, Slovenia, and Austria most likely are going to make it through. I feel like we're locking those 3 in. So let's pull up, because it's been a while since we looked at it. Let's pull up the second semifinal, and I'm going to throw another country out there to you all. Let's talk about Armenia. Do you feel like Armenia is a lock to qualify?
I hope it is. That is definitely one of the songs that from Semi 2 that will zoom right into my playlist. I'm not convinced though, but I really, really hope that it will qualify. I think it speaks to a completely different audience than the other 3 we've talked about. There are probably another 2 songs in this semi that can compete for the same votes. But I would say I think Armenia is going to qualify.
All right. I'm going to go to Lou and then Brenda.
Yeah, I want to jump in because someone might want to mop up after me. This is a solid no NQ for me. I think they're burying this with, I know like there's constant talk of second in the running order, but like it's true, the stats back it up. It's not very positive to be put in that spot just historically, statistically. This song irks me so much, right? Because I love her and I love the concept of the song. I love this idea of writing a song to your future lover. It's really interesting to me. But the actual song itself, there's a kind of a coldness in it that I find it very hard to connect to personally. And I just don't really know who this song is for. Like I just don't know. Like obviously Armenia can, like they're a little bit hit and miss with staging in years gone by. So it depends what they do as well. But I just don't really know what, when there's however many, 14 songs after this. I don't know what is going to endear people to pick up the phone and vote for it. And especially with this run of songs, like Denmark's like really light and bright and happy and chirpy. And then we've got, isn't it, Armenia, Romania, Estonia. It's kind of, this is a section of the show. I just think it's a strange run of songs and might put people to sleep a little bit until Belgium comes and wakes us up. I can't wait to talk about that later. But yeah, Armenia, I'm saying no. Sorry to any fans out there.
Okay, Brenda, what do you think? How are you feeling about Armenia?
And what it surprises me is the fact that this song has been appealing a lot of folks that are not really in the bubble. And that is something that we have to take in account, because remember that there's gonna be on this all like voting that it's all like popular people who are not part of the bubble. So the fact that this song appeals to people that will listen to it once that night tells me something. And another thing, people are talking about the staging and Armenia. I'm not so worried about that after Rosalind last year, to be honest.
Well, I will tell y'all, I am loving Armenia. I really do like the song. I am worried for it only because of the running order. That is really the only thing, but I do think that this song somehow will occupy a space of cleanliness and honestly, kind of professionalism. Like, I just think that this package ultimately is going to feel really professional, and I would say I'm concerned about how Romania might look. I'm concerned about Belgium because I'm always concerned about Belgium when it comes to the staging. I mean, we have to be honest. Like, when it comes to Belgium and the staging, I am always concerned. Even though what they did at the national selection, I actually didn't mind, even though I've heard a couple of people in the bubble didn't really like what they did at the national selection. And honestly, because of Belgium's track record, on all that is holy, I would prefer what they did at the national selection than them even attempting to experiment with something new on the Eurovision stage. But I'm going to pivot. So I'm going to put Armenia down in our 10th slot, because maybe with a little asterisk by it, because I think we'll want to revisit it later. And maybe let's just talk about Belgium. What are y'all thinking? Are y'all feeling like Belgium is a lock to qualify?
Yes. Yes.
We've got a split panel. We've got a split panel. Okay, Lou, kick us off.
I stand a good daddy in a hat. Isn't that what Shireen said? Oh my God. I don't know, is it just the Irish bubble I'm in? But we are all obsessed with Gustav. Like, we are all like wearing fedoras on our nights out, and like, it's just so camp in like the best possible way. Our night out on Friday, we were all like stamping on the floor, and like just that whole kind of disco revival we've had the last 2 kind of years. I think televoters across Europe are going to love that. There's something so likable about him. We were rewatching, myself and a couple of friends, we were watching 2019 yesterday in my living room, and Jan Lundvik came on with the Mamas, and we were like, Gustav and his backing dancers, like, they have this appeal. Like, even in the music video, like, he doesn't stop smiling, and he's there with these really happy women, and they're all grooving together. And I really see a televote going for this. I would be far more worried if we had a jury voting in this semi-final. I would be far more worried about Gustav. I'm sorry, I don't want to be rude about other entries, but like, I'm going to be so asleep by song number 4. Like, Gustav's going to wake me up. Like, he's going to get Europe up and dancing. And I will fight to keep this in as a qualifier. I am a Gustav defender forever.
I'll have to say that I'm feeling at a massive disadvantage right now, because I haven't seen any of these performers. No idea what they look like. No idea what they did in the national finals. No idea what they've been doing on the pre-tour. So I'm basing this solely on the song. And as we talked about last time, this is the Thursday night. I'm not entirely sure that the audience watching on Thursday is massively keen on dancing. Maybe I think we've seen that a couple of years earlier, that a lot of the slower songs from the semis have qualified that we didn't think before. And I think that is because on a Tuesday night and a Thursday night, people might not be in a party mood.
Could it be because of juries though? Like juries often push the slower songs through. Like Switzerland last year wouldn't have qualified without juries.
Yeah, but I think we looked at it 2 years ago, and we saw that a lot of the slower songs, more sort of contemporary songs, did better on the in the semi than they did in the final. Because on Saturday, I think you're completely right. If he qualifies, I think he's going to do really well on Saturday. But then again, I have to admit that this is possibly the song in this semi that is least me. It's like it's so not my musical taste at all. So maybe I'm a bit biased because of that as well.
Okay, Brenda. So where are you at with Belgium? I'm thinking from this conversation, I'm gonna place Belgium maybe in our fence bucket, and we'll come back to it a little bit later. But what are you thinking, Brenda?
Because I am seeing the opposite way of what Lou is seeing. I think the fact that it's 100% televote is gonna change everything. Like, I don't know, the fact that if I have a jury, I will still say like, okay, I have this like locked in a really safe position or whatever, because like having like the trend of the countries or how our juries have voted before, we could have something like to rely on. But the fact that we have 100% televote, it's gonna send countries that we might say today, oh my god, this is awful, to a really good position because we've seen it in the past. And maybe this one that could be a really good one if we combine votes, somewhere like, I don't know, close to the 10, 11, depending on it is. There's something good about it, and it's the running order, like Lou was saying. I think that will definitely be on their favor. And I mean, Gustav is awesome. Like that's something I can't deny. So I think these are the things why I have it on my fence. That I still need to see how this 100% televote's gonna do. Like people, it's not. It's sometimes it's like forgetting that, and that televoting in Europe, it's something that could go anyway.
All right, y'all. So we feel a little bit, I think we're all over the place with Belgium a little bit, but I'm writing it down. But what we have as a lock so far, and I want to sort of introduce this. I think I left out another one that I feel like we'll all agree, whether we like it or not, we'll all agree that it's a lock. Georgia, come on now, y'all. Georgia's making it. Louise, Louise, what are
I'm
you saying?
disagreeing with everyone.
Okay, Louise, give it to me because I am living in the world where Georgia's a lock in this semifinal with this combination. I'm gonna throw it up there again. With this combination of songs, we're getting a vocal. We know we're gonna be getting a visual. What more do they need to do, Louise? Maybe you're gonna come with the reality check for the rest of us. Serve it up.
What is going on in these lyrics? Like I'm sorry, and like I've talked about this on the podcast, and I've been quite delicate because I realize I'm a native English speaker, right? And I don't want to be disrespectful to songwriters, but I actually quite like this song, but I wish it was in Georgian, or I wish they had like put it through like a good check. Thing is known. What? What does that mean? Like what?
Love is a word less. I feel like
And I love her, and
progressed.
she's like a junior Eurovision winner, and like she's living her dream with like Loreen, her role model. Like she's an icon. I love her so much, and I think visually it could be very arresting, but I think between the lyrics kind of being a bit nonsensical and her coming after Slovenia, that's going to really, really, really hurt Georgia, I think. And Georgia, like traditionally, the televote, they struggle a little bit anyway. Like they're like Ireland, they're like Malta. Like we just don't have as much of a televoting power across Europe. So I would like to see her go through because I like the song melodically and I love her. But I think should it happen, it's very borderline for me. I think this is a ninth, 10th, or 11th, and I'll be kind of pleasantly surprised if it squeaks through.
Okay, Brenda, what do you think? Georgia, is it making it through?
I think it's making it through, but I also think it's a borderliner because the problem is, once again, we don't know how. And I'm gonna throw it like here. We don't know how songs like Romania are gonna perform with the televote. We hate it. We might say this song is awful, but
Well, I have to contrast this because I don't hate Romania's song. It
well, but
was
there's
that
some people
national
in the vote.
selection. Well, no. I know that there are people in the fandom who don't care for the song. But I think with Romania, the only trick is the staging. I think if the staging was just anything from, like, even if he was just singing it with a band in the background, even if he was just, kind of styled, maybe let's think like Future Sex Love Sounds, Justin Timberlake suit, and then singing this song, and maybe we had a female dancer in silhouette or something like that. I would be, I'm not gonna lie, I would probably be saying that I think Romania is gonna qualify because sonically, I think it is like a journey. I think vocally, it is arresting. I just think it is something that, like, I've never forgotten a song. Whereas I would say, like, there are times I have forgotten Greece and Cyprus. Like, I've been like, wait, which one was that? Like, I've had to like go and sort of recall it. Now, mind you, I've been on record. Greece has the edge for me over Cyprus because you know what they say. And um, uh, whereas Cyprus, I think, has the repetition, which I think sometimes actually works well at Eurovision. But Romania, dun, 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 dun. It's got sort of that like weekend, worth it, sort of vibe. And I think if they were to just sell the song in that way, it's something that I actually think the televote could get. I'm just throwing it out there, but I'm gonna make the executive decision that I think we're mostly putting Georgia in. I've got an asterisk by you, Lou, that you have it, and I have it down in our ninth position. I'm not bumping it up that high, but I brought up Cyprus and Greece. Do you think we're getting both of them?
I think so. I think Cyprus, like Andrew, has the advantage of the Aussie vote and then obviously the Greek vote. Also, Pretty Men in Eurovision, I feel like they always get a bit of extra love in the televote. I don't know, I could be wrong there, but like, he's very telegenic. He is an amazing live singer as well. So I see definitely a path for Cyprus to make it through. Greece, he's a young performer. I haven't been able to find much of him singing live. Um, but there's a very mainstream appeal. And I don't know if many of you know Dermot Kennedy, but he's like our biggest singer here in Ireland at the moment. And he's all over our radios, and the UK love him as well. So like, we're not voting in semi two, but the UK could throw Greece extra points because he kind of has that mainstream appeal. It's a big artist. It reminds me of like when Michael Schulte burst onto the scene when Ed Sheeran was like in the middle of his huge album. And I think Greece, they just put so much effort in. They're going to do their best not to fumble the bag on the staging. And Cyprus and Greece in the same semi, that's always good for the other. It's a guaranteed 12, isn't it?
Well, I want to ask Viv because you really did do the first listen, which is what the locals will be experiencing on the night. And so, for everybody in the comments, I just want to say, remember, there's a whole bunch of people who are going to experience these songs for the first time in the night. They haven't had a chance to marinate. They haven't had a chance to bathe in it. And I always think sometimes even when I make my predictions, I have to almost divorce myself of the bathing and go back to what my first initial reaction was. And typically when I do that, I'm more right on. And I always say, when I go to Eurovision and I watch the rehearsals and I do my post-rehearsal prediction, my pre-rehearsal prediction is always better than the post one. So with that said, disclaimer, Viv, between Greece and Cyprus, what are your thoughts? Do you think we get both of them? And do you think one has the edge over the other? And if so, which one?
I think that, as someone said, they start on 12 points, both of them, which means there is a good chance we'll get both. But if we don't, based on my first listen today, Cyprus was the one I noticed. Greece was kind of just there. And I had to sort of go back and check, which one is this? And I was like, oh, it's still Greece. So it's kind of, it didn't grab me the same way Cyprus did. Yeah, so for me, it's, if I had to pick one, I'd pick Cyprus because it's more, I don't know, more immediate.
I do think Cyprus is more immediate. I think that Greece is more mainstream. And that's, I think, the contrast that we're getting. So, this is what I'm going to do. So, y'all, if you're following along in the live stream and you're wondering where we're at, I'm making the executive decision. We've got 4 locks so far, or not even locks, but we've got 4 selections that are making it, and I'll drop it down in the comments as well. We're saying Australia is going to make it. We're saying Slovenia is going to make it. We're saying Austria is going to make it, and I've now added Cyprus to the mix, and I've dropped Greece down. So we've got about 4 slots we have to fill in the gap with, and I think we're just all going to be all over the place. And so one country that I got to throw out there, and maybe I'll throw it out there with the combo, are female power ballads. Last year we had the Sad Boys. This year we're not getting a ton of ballads, but we've got these 2 powerful female ballads with Estonia and Lithuania. Estonia coming in the first half, Lithuania getting, I'd say, a nice little pimp slot coming in the second half. Do you think we get both? Do you think one is better than the other? Is there one of these that's just DOA? Tell me what you think. I'm going to kick off with you, Brenda. What do you think? Estonia v. Lithuania. Do we get both? Is one getting the edge? Is there one that's DOA? Question mark.
If we had a semifinal on which we had 50% televote and 50% jury, I would say we're getting both. But I think that with these buckets, like the last one, Greece and Cyprus, and with this, I think we're getting one because sometimes these people cannibalize each other. So you get the audience maybe confusing them both, and we end up getting one. So I think if I have to choose one, maybe slightly, I would say Lithuania because the fandom knows it. Even though I think I like Estonia a little bit better.
Okay, Lou. Estonia v. Lithuania. What are your thoughts?
I see a path for both of them. I think Lithuania has the strongest shot for me, though. And I think of the slower to mid tempo songs within this semi final, Lithuania is the absolute standout, purely because Monica's vocal is just very hard to fault. And also the song itself, like the way they've crafted this, and I know they kind of went back during the selection and like tweaked it. The Shuto Tuto is so catchy, and there's a real soul in the Lithuanian song that I think is going to be very appealing to televoters. Lithuania traditionally always has a very strong televote, no matter kind of what kind of combination of countries they have in their semi-final. Lithuanian diaspora always is the country I think of. They always come out and support Lithuania. And what I would be saying with regard to Monica and her song is she's going through the semi, but she's kind of one to watch in the final because I'm convinced she's in the final, particularly with the juries. I think juries are going to absolutely love her. Connor, my colleague from the podcast, was talking to a couple of different artists in Barcelona and in London, and a lot of the artists themselves in Eurovision this year absolutely love Shuto Tuto and are very complimentary toward it. And people like that are always on juries as well. Estonia, I think I can see her going through. Not as convincingly as Lithuania, but I think there's such quality there within that entry. I think she should go through. It's more veering on the borderline, though, I feel.
Okay. Viv, with the first listen, Estonia v. Lithuania, what was your first feel?
My first feeling is that I personally prefer Estonia to Lithuania. But looking at the running order, that gives Lithuania an edge. Also, for me personally, I know that Monica can sing because we've heard her before. I haven't heard the live version of Estonia, so I'm not sure how good she is live, but I really like her voice. So I mean, if she performs well, I think that Estonia has the better song, but I think Lithuania has the better running order. I think probably we're going to lose one of them. And rationally, we're losing Estonia. But I'm really, really hoping that we get to keep Estonia. And again, I have to say that when it comes to Monica being a returning artist, we're the only ones who know this. There's a huge the massive majority of the people voting on the Thursday have no idea who she is. Perhaps the commentators are going to say she's a returning artist. She was in 15. And it's like, yeah, but they're not going to remember the song. They're not going to remember her. So I think that is something that's for us.
All right. Shudo, tudo. I'm putting Lithuania in our 10th slot. I'm doing that. So if you're just joining the live stream, we've got Australia, Slovenia, Austria, Cyprus. We're having Armenia, but we have an asterisk by it. There is a conversation around Greece. We've got it a little bit low down. Georgia we have, even though Louise wasn't convinced. And then we've got Lithuania just adding the mix, which leaves us with 3 slots. And this is the moment where I want to talk about, I'm going to put it back up. Do we feel like we've got 2 songs that we can look at this list and say that we know will likely not advance, that we can say confidently that we think is out? And, you know, since I'm hosting this and I've already been on record in saying it, I'm just going to throw it out there. I think that San Marino, we can confidently say, is likely out. What do y'all think about that?
I think so too.
Any objections to us just saying that? Anyone want to make a case for San Marino maybe having a chance to make it in? Okay, I'm seeing vigorous head nods in the negative. So that means that San Marino, we agree, is out. Now, is there another country looking at this list that we can all agree? And it might not be because we want it out, but just because we've been watching this song contest long enough to know that not everyone is going to make it through. And sometimes we got to say it.
Poland?
Okay, Viv, Poland. So let's talk about Poland. Do we feel like there's a world where Poland makes it in? Any of us? Can any of us make a case for Poland? All right, Louise, you can make a case. The mic is hot and ready for you. Let's go.
Bye bye. The Britney Spears fans might be out in force. Yeah, I don't know. Like, it's not. I personally don't really rate the song, and as we know, the live needs a lot of cleaning up. But there is an audience out there. I'm not in that audience, but I know them. I've met them. I see them, and they love this song, the kind of the girl bop. And we're lower. We don't have the kind of girl bops that we've had in years gone past in Eurovision this year. So will that benefit her? Perhaps. We know, unfortunately, this is a generalization, of course, but the Polish community aren't that in favor of their own song. That's a conversation for another time. So I don't know, will the diaspora pull through here? It's like, that's hard to know.
Hold on real quick. Let's just, because I'm gonna pivot us into reality. The diaspora is not gonna come out for this song.
No.
They are hot pissed. Okay. I'm telling y'all, I somehow became like, I trended in Polish TikTok. And I didn't even really say anything. I was literally in a state of shock. And I just was like, it was more a question. Like, my video was more like Poland. And when I tell you the comments, I have translated some because they were just so long. And I was like, you just wrote this whole thing in Polish. I don't know what it is. Let me translate. And they are hot pissed. So, Louise, I appreciate because this is the thing. Is there a world where I could see Poland qualify? Can I make a path? Absolutely. But do I think it is realistic? I don't think that Poland, the diaspora is not with it. So it's like, if you don't even have your folks, if the folks won't even rep their set, thinking that there will be enough people to pick up the phone and call in this semifinal, when honestly I think we've got Australia, we've got Austria. I think even a case could be made even for Belgium, that are just going to be, I think, more rousing. Do we even need the girl bop? You know what I'm saying? Brenda, I feel like
Yeah.
you came up.
Yeah, and you know what? A case could even be made for Albania in this case. Well, like, and we already know what happened when this song came out in Poland, how folks reacted, and you got it right. Like, if your own people, it's not backing you up, like out of the country, it becomes a little harder.
Well, I will say we're going to put, for the purposes of the panel, we're going to say San Marino and Poland are out because the majority of us are saying that on the panel. So I'm willing to do that and move on. And who we have not spoken about really is let's talk about, because this is the other reason why I think Poland will be hurt. Because even if Dilyal doesn't make it, Dilyal getting on the stage by herself, actually singing and having like a legitimate vocal, not to mention, even Iru in Georgia, I think it makes the potential deficiencies of potential, because we haven't seen anything yet, the potential deficiencies of Blanca's live performance even more stark in comparison. I will tell y'all, I love Iceland. I don't think it's going to make it through,
I agree.
but I
think
love
right.
it.
I know, it's really upsetting, and I think she's been hurt being put between Greece and Cyprus. And Iceland traditionally struggle with the televote too, but I would love her to go through. I think she's amazing.
She is possibly at least top 3 vocals this year. She's stunning. I'm not entirely sure that I personally like her voice, like the sound of it, but she is amazing. She is so natural on stage. She just walks on stage and she owns it. So I think that's going to impress people when just watching her perform, because she's literally where she belongs when she's on stage performing. I think the song might appeal to I was going to say the Nordics. That's only Denmark. So I think Iceland might have been a bit unlucky with the draw this year, ending up in that semi with who's voting, because this sound, and I'm not thinking neighbor voting here, but that is a sound that is very popular in the Nordics. You hear it on the radio all the time. And again, I think perhaps the non-Eurovision community people who are voting might vote for her. So I think she's borderline, and I hope she's in.
Louise?
On Iceland, I don't have much to add. That I love her, and she reminds me a lot of Tuvstrika in Sweden, and like that kind of brand of Zara Larsson type performer who I just always gravitate towards. I just don't see Iceland pulling it off in the televote, unfortunately, this time around.
All right, so we're adding to the out category. We've got San Marino, Poland, and Iceland. I'd say this is, to make this clear, this is a begrudgingly. Begrudgingly. We're doing it though. All right. We haven't talked about Albania. We haven't talked about Albania. And I will tell y'all, I almost have to remind myself, because I already filmed my semifinal 2 predictions video, and I will release it either today or tomorrow. But this whole season, I just think that Albania tends, historically speaking, they do tend to do well with the televote. So that's number 1. So they typically tend to do well with the televote. So there's already that. And really with Albania, what other, like, and when I say down home, I mean down home in a European Eurovision way. What other down home Eurovision ethnic, dramatic song do we have in this semi? I just feel like what Albania is doing is a lot of what we typically come to Eurovision for. What do y'all think? Brenda, you're nodding vigorously, so I will kick off with you.
Yes, and this is the exact opposite case of Poland. Like Albania has such a huge diaspora. That's another thing, and that people will really back this song. And yeah, I can see it coming. Like personally, maybe might not be my vibe. Like this is not something that I would play in the radio every day, but I can see that we always need some kind of Balkan ethnicity in the final, and this is giving it to us.
All right, Louise, what do you think?
Well, I've learned my lesson time and time again with Albania not to count them out, you know, like it's as a Western European, it's not something on my radar, but I have to be conscious that like I'm one of millions and millions and millions watching across Europe. And I see there being an audience for this. And as Brenda's mentioned, Albanian diaspora is strong. There is a lovely appeal here, the whole family affair. I think people will engage with that. And this, when you consider the running order, you know, I'm just looking here that the final four, Austria, Albania, Lithuania, Australia, I all think they have a really good chance, all of them, in qualifying. And Albania, I think, is included in that group. They staged really well too, Albania. And within the community, in our bubble, people can often forget about Albania purely because they release so early. I think is always an element we have to consider. So for me, if this were my personal Lou 10 qualifiers, I would be taking Georgia and Armenia out and saying Albania's in.
Okay. Tre tuipos. Okay, I'm telling you, y'all know I'm not even into like a musical theater moment at Eurovision, but this one feels like it's straight out of like cinema. It's like a movie. I'm locked in. But Viv, what are you thinking? You had the first listen, so that's what a lot of people on Thursday are going to experience. What are you thinking with Albania?
Well, I'm I'm one of the Western Europeans who love Balkan music, and the sound is everything. But this year, I kind of felt that it was lacking something. I'm not sure what. It's I was all the time expecting something to happen that never happened. And I'm not sure what it was. But when the song ended, I was like, oh. So normally this is very much my cup of tea. But this year, not so much, actually.
All right, so I'm curious. Now, Viv, did you make a 10 list? Do you have 10 qualifiers from the second semifinal?
No. I can probably just look at the songs now or the countries now and see which ones I actually remember liking.
Okay, let's do a quick let's do a quick rapid fire session.
Yeah,
Let's go through the
you have
list
the
and
time.
tell me what you like. Tell me what you liked, and I'm gonna put my fingers up. Okay, let's go.
Okay. Let's start with the ones I really liked. Armenia, Cyprus, Slovenia, Georgia, and I think perhaps Australia.
Okay, so you got 5 left.
Yeah. Did I say Estonia? No. So
No, you
add
didn't.
Estonia.
Okay.
I think I will put Romania.
Okay.
I think I will also include Denmark.
Okay.
Because I mean, now we're into songs that I kind of liked, but they're not super favorites.
So you've got 2 slots left.
I've got 2 slots left. I'm going to be very optimistic and put Iceland.
Okay.
And
1 slot left.
1 slot left. Now I'm doing what I want, not what I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
We
Lithuania.
don't- Oh, you're going to do Lithuania. All right.
Yeah.
So everyone hold Viv to that. We'll see if that's what the public does. But no, I mean, I think so. What we said was a lock as a review for folks. We said Australia's locked. Slovenia, we got in. We got Austria. We put in Cyprus. We put in Armenia. We put in Greece. We put in Georgia. We put in Lithuania. We've got 3 slots left. And I think for this panel, y'all are saying Belgium, right? What you'd want to see for the panel, other than Brenda. Okay, other than Brenda, we're putting in Belgium. So then that leaves us 2 slots left. And what's not in this list is Denmark. And so I wanted actually to come to Denmark because Denmark has somehow become a little bit controversial in the fan bubble. And I think controversial because it might be a song that's like slightly overhated. I mean, let me tell y'all, I literally saw a comment from someone who was just like, I just don't like Riley. Newsflash, y'all. And I'm soapbox. You don't know any of these people unless you went to high school with them, kicked it with them, and hang out with them on a daily basis. You cannot say you don't like anybody, like for real, unless they've got a deep history of being on the internet sharing all of their views. Okay? Okay? I just, you cannot say you don't like anybody. Now, I will say, there's probably 2 people in the Eurovision world that were performers that I would say I don't like because they were in my face talking to me, saying things. Okay? I can say that I don't like them. I experienced them in person. So just to listen to a song, watch a performance, see a couple of TikTok videos, you cannot say you don't like anybody. You don't know them. Like that is just peak level bizarre. But I'm going to tell y'all right now. Denmark is one of my favorite songs this year. I never ever skip it. And I can understand why some people, it's like, oh, it's a little bit bubblegum. It's a little bit youthful in a way that it just is not sonically pleasing to me. I completely get that. But for some reason, some of the bubblegum youthful songs I don't really like. But this one I do. What do y'all think of Denmark's song, just in general?
I like him a lot. I like his voice a lot. I've seen a couple of interviews with him, and he seems like a super nice guy. From what I can tell, I don't think it's a song I'm ever going to skip, but I don't think it's a song that's going to end up on my personal playlist. But apparently he's also quite good live. So I think Denmark is definitely up there.
There's a lot of play here with Denmark. First of all, TikTok. He has a huge following. So that's only going to help, right? Then the 1975. This song is very the 1975 coded. They are so mainstream right now. They're selling out arenas and concerts everywhere. So there's that. Also, I touched on this with Albania. I said never underrate Albania. I feel the same way with Denmark. Denmark show up and they show out. Love Us Forever 2019. That got so much borderline abuse in the community. Really, people were not fans, and kind of that word bubblegum was used in a derogatory sense. It's too childish, but like some people like that. They turn on the TV and they want to see bright colors and they want to see love hearts and they want to see songs about love and that kind of feel good message. So I can see Denmark having a pretty solid televote actually.
Because I will say,
Brenda?
like,
Yeah.
the only negative thing that I can find in this semifinal for Denmark is the fact that there's not a voting bloc that will support them, because we don't have a lot of Nordics. We just have Iceland, but we have then the TikTok factor. So I think that maybe that could like balance it a little bit, and it could help it.
I do want to say this because, okay, Stevan, because there is a little bit of, I think, some people in the fandom really like the, he went away. He went away, yay. I was
Is that the
gonna
I Should Have
marry him.
Married Him song? That one?
And I'm going to tell y'all right now, if y'all think that that would have qualified in this mix, because that's the only thing. I feel like you can say Like, you can hate on a song from a national selection unless, like, if it doesn't qualify. But if it qualifies, we have to let it go. We have to let it go because there's the unknown. We can always say what if, but like the main thing from a national selection and the goal is they have to qualify. So I think, so I don't think I was gonna marry him would have qualified in this mix. I'll be real. Um, but I don't know. I feel like we're all leaning towards Denmark actually qualifying. And there was a comment I put up earlier. To me, Denmark has qualified with less.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna put Denmark that we are actually saying it's gonna make it through, which leaves one spot. And as a reminder, okay, and this is like I think the controversial piece, and I put Belgium in. So, um, I think there's like a six slot that I sort of have. But here we go. I'm dropping it in the chat on YouTube. We are saying that Australia makes it, Slovenia makes it, Austria makes it, Cyprus makes it, Denmark makes it, Belgium, Armenia, Greece, Georgia, and Lithuania. So, looking at semifinal 2, what do y'all think that we have? Like, what do you think is missing from this? And I didn't put in Albania. Do y'all think so? Are we putting in Albania? Do we think Albania is making it?
I think so.
Okay, Viv, you're
I'm not
saying maybe
sure.
not. So if it's
Yeah.
not Albania, what do you think it is? And I think Louise, you're saying if it's not Albania, you're saying that there's a world where we get Estonia and Lithuania.
Yeah, I have my own 10 qualifiers, like my predictions, not my personal. So I have both Albania and Estonia in. I'd mentioned that I didn't see Georgia and Armenia going through. So Estonia would be the other one there that I could see getting through.
Brenda, what do you think is the one that's missing? You kind of think you're in team Albania from this list. Like
I
if
mean,
we've got one missing.
but I still think that Romania could surprise.
Ah. So you're saying your fence is probably Romania because this is the thing, we do know that Romania is changing the staging. The staging is not going to be what it was in the national selection.
And we got Hola Mi Bebé last year, like,
True.
and we got it from the televote. It like
Mhm.
judges didn't give them that much voting, so that's why the fact that we have 100% televote always changes this. And with countries like the ones in the Balkans and that region, like we always get a surprise with them. We had it with Moldova in the final, so I don't still think that Romania is not an unqualifier like some folks are saying.
I think we should also consider Romania.
Okay.
Mm.
I mean, I will say, like, I have been in a world. It's hard to want to bet on Romania just because at least Ola Mi Bebebe had a little bit of buzz ahead of time, though. I don't think that Romania's song has the buzz of Ola Mi Bebebe because I was living in a world of like, I hate the live performance, the dance, the choreo was sloppy. Like it, even the styling didn't feel as elevated as it should have been on the Eurovision stage. Like, let's be real. And like that performance, if you had told me it was Eurovision 2005 or 2002, I would have believed you because it could, in theory, it could have been written at that time period. It could have been done in the exact same way. You know, they didn't do any tech or anything, but I think because it was catchy, like, and I always said I was like the studio cut love, like of, oh, I was like in the car, I was like, oh, let me, baby, it bumps, like, and it was definitely the mood that I was like in last year for real, and low key, and in this year. With Romania, though, I think there are some people who love it, but I think it's a loud minority. And then I think for the people who are critical of it, I think it's in my camp of just like, I just don't know what it's going to look like live. So it's hard to bet on it.
Exactly.
I'm thinking though that after listening to all the songs once, I have to admit that I don't remember all the songs, but I remember what I thought when I listened to them. And listening to Romania, I thought, this isn't bad.
Yeah.
And I was like, I wonder what this is going to look like. I wonder who this person singing is. And there were quite a few songs where I was just, oh, okay. But this one sort of piqued some interest. So I'm really looking forward to both seeing the video national final pre-concert thingies, because now since I've listened to all the songs, I'm gonna dive in. So yeah, I'm looking forward to watching it. But based on what you're saying, it probably wasn't too good in the national final, and you're all hoping it's going to be better.
I was gonna let someone else take that.
I think with Romania, like I'm probably more in your camp, Alesia. Like big respect to him, and he's so young, and he's actually live. He's pretty good, but along with San Marino, this is the one I'm most confident isn't going through. Like the running order isn't very helpful to them. It wasn't even looking like Romania were going to be participating in Eurovision at all for a while.
That
So
was, I
the
think we
budget.
forgot about that. Yeah, with the money, I think that was a thing. So maybe that even sort of helped to mix up perhaps that drive of momentum. The other thing I'd say about Romania is Urs did the pre-party circuit. Really was out there last year meeting with fans, and I don't know if Theodore has had as much of an opportunity as Urs did last year. Well, here's the thing, y'all. I think we said it. I think we said it. I'm gonna nail it down. I think this is where the panel was at. I'm gonna drop it in the chat. And and this was not, it wasn't what should I say? It wasn't a unanimous decision. I will be unlike the the allegedly the Netherlands, the Dutch selection committee. This was not a unanimous decision. But we got to it, y'all. And I think that just shows that semifinal 2, I think, is really the semifinal that we should be watching, because we are definitely going to get some surprises on the stage. If you haven't already liked this video and you haven't already subscribed, what are you waiting for? If you love the Eurovision Song Contest, I'm telling you, I think that you will love my channel. So this is your moment. Please like this video. Please subscribe. I'm so grateful for my panel. This panel is all about diversity of thought. We've got people deep in it. We have Viv coming with the instant sort of reaction, because we need that stuff, because that is what a lot of people are going to be experiencing on the night. So thank you so much for watching. Please, again, like this video. Please subscribe. If you disagreed with our predictions, don't worry, drop down. Talk to us in the comments below. This was collective, and it was not a unanimous decision. But let's get excited for Eurovision 2023. Yes, I am excited.